Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Yoruus speaking and welcome to the introduction spoiler video for multiplayer game number 46. This short video will compose of two parts. In first I will introduce the game, settings and players, and in the second part I will do a short summary of the game. So if you do not want to know how the game ended, skip this video and go to the second position of the playlist where the actual game starts. This time I'm playing a 7-player free-for-all no quitters game. No Quitters is a Steam group that gathers people who just want to play Civ without people leaving on them mid-game. You can find the link to the Steam profile on my main channel page in the About section. So if you want to join in, just follow the link, read the rules, join the chat, and ask a moderator for an invite. So the settings for this game are quick speed, standard size, Pangea, ancient era start, 16 city-states, random civilization, I believe strategic balance. This time I rolled Japan. Together in this game we've got Riyadh Naif playing as Persia, Vushtel Sep playing as Aztecs, Nat Armiklan playing as Iroquois, Division playing as Egypt, Arvius playing as Arabia, and Deton playing as Portuguese. So now, spoiler alert. Second warning, if you do not want to know how the game went, stop watching right now and go to the second position of the playlist where the actual game starts. This time I was pretty lucky with the starting location. I decided to move because I saw a mountain. I spent like 2 turns before I planned the city. I did get like 3 salts in my capital, gold, couple of ships, 2 gold. I did miss the house because I moved and I got a mountain, but sadly, somewhere in the mid game I actually forgot about that I planted my cities on the mountains because I did decide to plant basically 4 cities, 4 cities all on mountains, and I forgot to go for observatories. I mean, like, man, that was not that great of an idea. But I did go for tradition. As usual, lately, I wanted to go Liberty this time, but well, I just saw 4 nice city spots, so that meant tradition. I did manage to get Natural Fate Wonder, though that didn't help me that much. I would say I didn't get a crazy extra religion, but definitely helpful. And the only problem at the start of the game, to be honest, I had with barbarians. Oh, there were so many barbarians that I actually decided to try and experiment a little bit and open an open honor to get some extra culture in this game. This is how my empire looked at turn 52. As I said before, I did plant 4 cities on the mountains. Satsuma to the west as a defensive city, because Persia and Arabia was on that side, and I do believe Iroquois. I'm sure that Iroquois was on that side as well, though at this point I didn't know exactly where they are. Portuguese were pretty close to me on the east side, but behind a mountain range and like with only 1 tile passages, so I wasn't that much worried about the Portuguese, and the only worried part for me was Osaka, my city on Fate Wonder, just because, well, I did plan it, was trying to plan a little bit defensive with a forest and jungle in front. Well, it actually would be quite good for a defense if somebody would actually try to attack, and I was a bit afraid because somewhere in the south Egypt and Aztecs were, and they could try and get Osaka just because it was pretty far from my core cities. I did manage to get a Stonehenge, and I was working slowly at this spot to get National College as fast as possible. Up until turn 109, there was basically not much uh, going on, but then, then suddenly, well, Aztecs suddenly, but not that suddenly, by Aztecs launched attack against Egypt with crossbows. Well, I was trying to help, but at that point, because I went for universities first, I was not having crossbows that fast. But at least I was trying to send him a bit of pikemans and couple of units that my city states gave me. And when I finally reached crossbows and samurai, I came to assist him, but I was basically too late. Like, I don't know, maybe one or two, three turns, and division lost his capital to Aztecs. GG. GG division. In the meantime, on the other side, Iroquois was just going out of control, growing his cities, going crazy ahead in science. Arabia surprisingly stayed peaceful. They stayed peaceful. They did have camel archers, but they did not decide to attack anyone at that point. Even their closest neighbor Persia, like having a city right on top of them, but he did not decide to attack them. And Portuguese was basically absolutely peaceful, with their corner of the map that I actually did not explore that much. I only see 2 out of 3 of his cities, but who is basically all out peaceful in this game. As I said before, I did not manage to save Egypt, but because he lost his capital, I decided to use that opportunity to cut Aztec's army in half. Well, kind of cut his army in half and attack Teotihuacan. Well, I didn't care about Egypt capital at this moment. I was just focused to doing damage to Aztecs while they were recovering from the war with Egypt. Well, the fight was immensely hard, to be honest. First of all, he had Great Wall, which slowed me down very, very much. So my initial attack with samurai and crossbows did not work that well. I had to wait for knights to actually get advantage, and finally with the knights, I was able to break Aztec's defense and secure his frontal city. After losing his frontal city, Aztecs did not stand that much of a chance. I was able to pick off a lot of his units while he was retreating, and with the help of a citadel, I managed to secure Aztec's capital. GG. Vurstalsep, GG, and GG division again. So I did secure the rest of his cities. I burned Teotihuacan down. I burned Texcoco down as well. I just left to myself his capital, and Tlatelolco, because there was Machu Picchu in there. Very helpful. Then I kind of divide my forces. Well, time Iroquois was attacked by Arabia, which suddenly, well, he was getting pretty much ahead with wonders, with technology, had saved up a lot of great scientists. So he decided to attack Iroquois to kind of slow him down because he was the scoreboard and science-wise leader at that point of the game. Well, I used that time I used the time after the war because I had peace with Portuguese, and actually Persian, Arabian, and Iroquois basically on the other side. So I used that time to get Egypt's capital now, finish off the the last Aztec cities. I had to take one more city-state and fight a couple of city-states wars just because Arabia declared war. Well, I had a defensive pact with Iroquois, so when they declared war to Iroquois, I kind of got in a war with city-states that were Arabia's ally because he had a crazy gold. But I decided to use this time to build up public schools, build up gold, factories, and slowly tech up to artilleries and cavalry later on, to get a nicely, well, to have a nicely economically built up empire just prepared to spam units. My preparations were finally complete. I did take freedom, if I believe correctly, ideology. And I got happiness from mints and stock exchange, all that good stuff, happiness from national wonders. And I did get that 25% boost into production units. So, well, I was basically preparing for total war right now. Arabia did manage to take one of Iroquois city, but that attack stopped. He couldn't get much further, so he had to back out of there. So Iroquois was actually kind of making a counterattack for Persia. In the meantime, I did attack Persia. I took Ecbatana pretty quickly just because I had a huge science advantage on Persia, but Arabia starting to have a huge science advantage on me, and he still had great scientists saved up, so I knew I basically have to hurry up right now, burn all the great scientists as fast as possible to get to Great War Infantry and later on to infantry, and just try to take him down before his science advantage gets out of hand. But first target was Persia. Persia fell pretty quickly. Well, he was basically attacked from two sides. I took his capital, and Iroquois took the other city. GG, Rayad Naive. I burned down Ecbatana and Susa, and I was just preparing to attack the city-state to the west side of Arabia, to the west, on the east side of Arabia, to make an attack path to his main cities. Well, things started to not look that cool. Iroquois made peace with Arvius just because Arvius got a huge advantage on science, so he's got infantry. Well, over Iroquois, he had infantry and Iroquois just had artillery, so he couldn't do much. So he decided to take peace, and actually kind of helped me because with that peace deal, he gave Pasargadae to Arvius. So I was able to take Pasargadae very quickly, so I had some room to actually prepare an attack on Mecca. The only problem was Arabia was so far ahead in science. He started to make bombers and was entering information era already. So I knew I had a little just. I didn't have much time to actually succeed in the attack, so I was just spamming units and trying to make some progress. Well, the fight was pretty hard, but thanks to my advantage in generals, well, basically, thank you very much, Honor. Well, I had just enough generals to actually retake Arabia's citadels and make a push into his city and put a citadel right on top of Mecca. This way, I had a little bit of mobility and I was able to pick off his infantry. Yes, I did lose a couple of units because he had rocket artilleries at that point. He had bombers, so he was just picking off my artilleries one by one and dealing a lot of damage to my units. But well, my huge production advantage were kicking in and I was just trying to flood him with units, and I did manage to take Mecca down and started to attack his capital. I did take Arabia's capital, but well, he had an ace in his sleeve. He was so far ahead in technology that he actually decided to make a sneaky attack on my capital, and as usual, I forgot. Well, maybe not forgot, but I didn't guess that he had such a huge advantage to have XCOM already. So I had to rush by defensive buildings in my capital. Thank you to Iroquois and Portuguese for lending me some money. Well, I had to sell a lot of buildings like research labs and all those buildings in all my cities to actually make that happen. Thankfully, I had some troops. Well, I was just spamming troops, so I had some troops nearby. So I was able to defend my capital. Well, I even had a great general from Honor at this point, so I just planted him in front of my capital to be safe. But I did manage to save my capital from XCOM assault. So after his attack failed, Arvius did concede finally. So GG, Arvius. And well, after Arvius left, Portuguese and Iroquois decided to concede to me. Well, I had a huge production and I was still second at science, even though I had so many cities and was at war so much. So GG to everyone. Thank you very much for the game. Uh, well, this time geopolitical situation worked in my favor. First, the war with the Aztecs between Aztecs and Egypt allowed me to pick off Aztecs and then have Egypt's capital and had a sort of a peace on my side of the land thanks to Portuguese, which was peaceful whole game. And on the other side of the world, Iroquois was slowed down by Arabia. Well, I don't think Arabia was that much slowed down by that war because camel archers are just so strong. But my hammer advantage was just enough to bring Arabia down. Of course, help from Iroquois definitely was it was very helpful from him, taking Persia city and actually then trading with a peace deal and giving me a lot of his artillery. That was very helpful. So kind of together with Iroquois, well, I guess that was revenge from Iroquois. I was able to get Arabia down because before his technological advantage was too much to handle. So one more time, thank you for the game. GG. Thank you very much for watching, and I invite you to watch the actual game that will start that starts in the second position of this playlist. Best wishes, Yoruus out.